Hey man, I'm Chris with PhoneCats, and here is some strategy and tactical analysis for the Guardians of Light white deck. The main white deck in Magic 2014 is that white weenie deck. This one is about enchantments, life gain, and man, there's a couple cards that are really powerful, and I wish that this was the counter to the white weenie deck, the blue weenie deck, and the black zombie deck, but I don't know if it is. I got 61 cards in my deck right now, but it doesn't feel like an optimal build, but we'll just show you what I'm playing with first and then go through some of the riffraff. You got one lifelink. Enchanted creature has lifelink, so every time it deals damage, you gain life. I'm like 99% sure that I've tested this and cast it on my opponent's creature, like a 7/7, and then every time that it deals damage, you gain 7 life. So know that it can be used in that instance, and if not, I am just completely misleading you. Core Spirit Dancer, this is your core turn 2, oh that's why I said core. It's your core turn 2 play. Turn 1 you have nothing, dude. I even have these cards up top sorted by casting cost. Turn 1, you just say go. So know that. But turn 2, one of your strongest plays is Core Spirit Dancer. Next turn you just throw enchantments on it and attack. And it's just it's like the god play. You can also play with these other dudes that have lifelink. It's 2 mana for a 2/2 and it's a cat. And it has lifelink. Man, that card combos well with this one right here. You can play with a lot of these. I think I have a couple squeezed in. Divine Favor, 2 mana. When it comes into play, you gain 3 life. So it's already like a little healing salve. And then Enchanted Creature gets +1/+3. So if you cast it on this, dude, you gained 3 life, and now you're saying you say go, and then you have a 3/5 lifelink blocker. That's pretty stout. And it's just something to try to stop the momentum. Of course, they're going to have stuff to deal with all your creatures, but I don't know. It's just trying to make them burn out, and then go for the win with some huge enchanted creature. Okay, you got 3 of these blades. Is it 3? Yeah. 3 Blade of 6th Pride, 2 mana for a 3/1 cat with no abilities. If you throw your little Divine Favor on it, it's gonna pump it up to a 4/4 cat, and then you gain 3 life, but still, that's a little wishy-washy. Once you get an enchantment on a creature, the next thing that you wish you had was a Daybreak Coronet. Dude looks all Jesus-y. 2 mana, enchanted creature, enchant creature that already has an aura on it. Enchanted creature gets +3/+3, first strike, vigilance, and lifelink. So now, let's just look at the creatures that you could cast it on. Let's say you got the God draw, which would be a turn 2 core, a turn 2 this, or a turn 2 that, and then turn 3, you bust out a lifelink, which you only have 1 of, and then a Daybreak Coronet, which you only have 1 of. See, dude, that's so lame. The big 3 decks, Zombies, Illusions, and Humans, just get these god first 3 turn plays. First turn, godly creature. Second turn, something tricky. Third turn, overpowered stuff. And then in this deck, you're just praying to draw. You'll draw a 2 creature, but drawing that lifelink and a Daybreak Coronet ain't gonna happen. Anyways, if you did do that, let's say you cast it on your 3/1 dude, just to be the sassiest. So now it's a 3/1 with lifelink, and then it turns into a 6/4 with first strike, vigilance, and lifelink. Dude, if you have a 6/4, first strike, vigilance, and lifelink, you just attack every turn, and you're gaining 6 life. And then even if they attack you, you block, kill something with first strike, and then gain more life. That's overpowered. Alright, there's a couple mechanics that are going to give your creatures protection from creatures, and here's one of them. And then it becomes this thing where your dudes just can't be blocked, and you just have this like 1 alpha creature that swings in that you're trying to keep alive for the sake of the game. 2 mana, enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and protection from creatures. It can't be blocked, you can block with it and it won't take damage. It can't be targeted by creature abilities. A lot of juicy stuff. There's our Divine Favors. Alright, you got pacifisms. You can play with 4, which is kind of a lot. Enchanted creature can't attack or block. It's one of your rare forms of control. Nomad Mythmaker's pretty dope, dude. I wish you had more than 1 of these. 3 mana for a 2/2, pay 1 and tap them. Put target target aura from the graveyard onto play attached to target creature. So everything that has died that's an aura in your graveyard, you can pay 1 and tap it and either throw it directly onto this Mythmaker or put it on whatever you want. Yeah, if you can get him into play and keep him alive and it's like mid to late game, there's going to be so much recursion and card advantage that they won't be able to deal. But people kill him pretty quick. Oh my god, these Sky Hunter skirmishers are cool. They're flying cats and they have double strike. We're going to get to more cards that pump up, but dude, if you get a Daybreak Coronet on this thing, and then it becomes whatever enchantment you cast first, plus 3/3, so it's at least a 4/4 with all those abilities: First Strike, Lifelink, Vigilance, and Double Strike. I mean, if you attack with this and it's a 4/4 with Lifelink and Double Strike, you're gaining 8 life, and it wouldn't even tap. Another one of, god, this deck is weird. Pariah, 3 mana, enchanted creature, and all damage that would be dealt to you is instead dealt to enchanted creature. I've had all kinds of weird situations where this has been used against me, and I'm just trying to use it in the same way, dude. If your opponent has a creature that has huge power and toughness, you can cast Pariah on that, and then it's like one attack wave is just going to be canceled out. Okay, Pariah plus something that has protection from creatures. Does that work out the way I think it does? And that every time that they attack you, all the creatures... Yeah, that's the way it works, I'm pretty sure. Let's say they attack you for 1,000,000 damage, and you have Pariah and this spell, Spirit Mantle, on any creature. You just take all the damage, it redirects it to your creature with protection from creatures, and then you just keep playing until you eventually find your win mechanic. Alright, we're getting to some higher casting cost stuff slowly, and we're still in the 3s. One of Griffin Guide. Pay 3 mana, target creature gets +2/+2 in flying, and when the creature dies, you put a 2/2 white griffin into play. So strong, man. Turn 2, your main girl, your core spirit dancer, with that, she becomes a 4/4 flying, you draw a card from it, and when she dies, you get a 2/2 flyer. That's strong. You can tell they didn't want this deck to be too good, but we'll get to that a little bit more. Okay, more protection from creature abilities. Unquestioned Authority. Enchanted creature, when this card comes into play, draw a card, so it's already a freebie. And then enchanted creature has protection from creatures. So you can do your same Pariah dance if you can get to your Pariah. And here's a way to get to your Pariahs and get to your right cards, depending on what deck you're playing against. Like, if you're playing against the red burn deck, you're not going to want to try to go for that combo, because they're just going to burn your creature, and only has protection from creatures, you know? 3 mana, search your library for an enchantment, show them, and put it in your hand. Dude, that's pretty strong, especially with this deck. It makes a lot of those one-ofs not seem as foolish, and I'm just kind of like realizing that myself. Oh my god, we're starting to get to the good cards. If you can survive this long, this is where you kind of start to get the lockdown. I really want to play this deck, man. I want this to be the counter to all the weenie decks, but I just haven't found the right build. Anyways, Dawn Elemental, you only got 1. 4 white mana, you're playing mono white, so just shrug that off. 3/3, flying, prevent all damage that would be dealt to Dawn Elemental. I've been up against this, man, that art is really crazy. I've been up against this thing before, it's so hard to deal with. You can't burn it, you can't corrupt it, you can make them sacrifice it, that'll work. And you can exile it. But besides that, you're going to be stumped a lot of the times. It's going to make you think. Seraph of the Sword. It's like a baby version of your Dawn Elemental. Dawn Elemental prevents all damage, and this Seraph of the Sword just prevents combat damage. Either way, dude, you're going to be hitting your turn 4 and just playing something that doesn't take damage from creatures. There's 2 of them, you hope that you draw them. Okay, Angelic Destiny. This is pretty clutch, dude. It really reminds me of a Rancor. 4 mana, enchanted creature gets +4/+4, flying, and first strike. And it becomes an angel also. When this thing dies, when enchanted creature dies, you return the destiny back to your hand. So it has that Rancor graveyard mechanic thing, but you're just turning something into a 4/4 with flying and first strike. If you cast this on your core spirit dancer, you're going to be sitting pretty. Let's see, it didn't give the creature lifelink, which, I mean, there's only one of these, but you can do turn 3, turn 2 creature, turn 3 tutor, turn 4, you can do Angelic Destiny, but I don't know. It gives it flying and first strike. So one of the best plays, or a good play, would be casting it on this. Then it has flying, first strike, and lifelink. And that's a 6/6 that you're swinging with on turn 3. There's a couple hands like that. It just takes a while for this deck to get started, dude. Alright, where are we? Things are getting nice. And indestructibility. 4 mana, enchanted permanent has indestructible. It can't be destroyed. It can be sacrificed, but you can't do very much to it. You can cast an indestructibility on an indestructibility. You do have like 3 of those. And yeah, man, this is a big piece of the pariah combo. So instead of you just being concerned about having protection from creatures, you give it indestructibility. And pariah plus that is almost like a lock to where they're gonna die. And it's just a matter of time before you draw something that gives you protection from creatures and you swing in with something that has this spell on it. This is the spell of the deck, dude. It's really different. We'll get to it. 4 mana, enchanted creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each planes that you control and has flying. Oh, so turn 2 creature, turn 3 something, turn 4. You got this and your other one that makes it more like an angel. But this one's pretty dope. I mean, turn 4, you're giving it +4/+4 and flying. And then every turn that you play a planes, it gets beefier. I don't know, it really reminds me of Empirical Armor, or whatever this, Imperial Armor? The spell that was in 2013 in the white-blue deck that was, target creature gets +X/+X for the number of cards in your hand. So you can still dump your hand. In fact, you are encouraged to get planes out on the field. It's crazy, dude. I mean, even if you cast this on your most feeble creature, your 3/1 cat, turn 4, you're swinging with a, what is that, 7/5? God, that's strong. And then every turn that you play a planes, it gets hotter. If you cast it on your lifelink, dude, I mean, that's OP. You're gonna be swinging in that turn for 6 damage with lifelink. It's strong. And it gets stronger every turn. There's times to when I was playing the black deck and someone cast that and I had a Mutilate in my hand, but I just couldn't catch up to its +1/+1 counters. Oh my god, retether. Okay, this is like the zombies deck, put all zombies back into play, but instead it's only 4 mana and you return each aura card from your graveyard to into play. And then only creatures can be enchanted this way. So, dude, if they've been killing your stuff consistently, you just got kind of a fat graveyard of enchantments that you scroll through on occasion. When you cast this card, you're just going to be dropping like an alpha strike of Armored Ascensions and casting all kinds of enchantment buffs on one dude. Hopefully there's a protection from creatures in there somewhere, and you'll just swing in for like, probably not a 1-turn kill, but you'll have them on a 2-turn clock. Okay, we're getting to the last of the cards that I'm playing with. I'm still wishy-washy about this guy, but Vigilance and Lifelink is a threat. It's 5 mana for a 2/4. It looks so bad, but I've been up against it before and it's a problem. If they cast the flying thing on it, all of a sudden, which is realistic, you have 2 of these and 3 of those other cards, and you got enchantment grabs throughout the deck. But yeah, dude, if you cast that on this thing, turn 5 you cast this, turn 6 Armored Ascension, this thing gets +6/+6. That bumps it up to God, an 8/10, are you kidding me? And then you swing in with an 8/10 with Vigilance and Lifelink. So you're gaining 8 life, and then it's still not even tapped, and then you just have an 8/10 flyer to block with. This deck has a sweet spot. It's just hard to get there. And I feel kind of foolish talking about this like late game stuff, but if you can just gain some life in the beginning with some of your lifelink dudes, or just slow the momentum, you can get to this point. Here's one of the not locks, but one of your ways to grab all your lock cards. 3 Dreams, 5 mana. Search your library for 3 enchantments, 3 aura cards. Show them and then put them in your hand. Each deck you're gonna have a different little god draw of what you would want to grab. Instructability and Pariah, I mean, are 2 quick ones, but who knows, dude. If you are setting up like an Alpha Strike next turn, I don't know, you might want to try that if you're like in a more defensive position, or depending on how you play your deck. But that's it for the cards that I'm playing with. Let's get to some stuff that I've passed on that you can consider. All of it looks good, besides those first 2. Mesa Enchantress, 3 mana for a 0/2. Whenever you cast an enchantment, draw a card. I don't know why this is in here instead of a 4th core. Like, it's 1 more white mana, has no buff ability. I don't get it. Like, are some people playing with all 5 and they're just glad that they're 5? I don't get that yet. Auramancer, 3 mana for a 2/2. When it comes into play, you can pull an aura from your graveyard back to your hand. I'm not playing with it yet, and I just needed to play with more creatures. Like, if I was going to play with those, I would try to take out the cats or something else. I wouldn't know what to remove. But if you're playing that late game long haul, I mean, those Auramancers could be kind of clutch. They're kind of like just a crappy version of this Nomad Mythmaker, and that's what I convinced myself. You got a weird life gain staff, they're terrible. You got this old school card. Was this from like Visions or what? Aura of Silence, 3 mana. Artifacts and enchantment spells cost your opponent 2 more to cast. That's really dope in the mirror match. I don't know who else that really hurts though. And then you can sacrifice it to destroy target artifact or enchantment. It's neat. Sarah's Bone's weird. Enchanted creature gets +1/+2 as long as it's white. So if you're in a mirror match, you can't even use the negative form of this, which gives a creature -2/-1. Both of those abilities seem mediocre, and even putting both of them into 1 card seems mad to me. This Guardian Mark Mage is worth thinking about at least. 3 mana, it's an enchantment that you cast with Flash, and creatures you control that are enchanted get +1/+1. So I don't know, man. Maybe they're attacking with a whole bunch of stuff and you think you're all untapped, and somehow you have a couple creatures out, and then you're like, bam, surprise! I'm gonna enchant a creature that isn't enchanted. My other creature hopefully already has an enchantment on it. And then they get a surprise +1/+1. I don't get it. It doesn't seem good. Oh, part of me can't believe I pulled out this Johnny's Chosen. 4 mana for a 3/3. Whenever an enchantment comes into play, you put a 2/2 white cat into play. And you have the option of throwing that enchantment directly onto the cat. I don't know. For a turn 4 play, I wanted something fatter. And if you look, all my turn 4s are either controlling cards or just fat pump-ups. And I felt like playing that, it would just be bait to get terrored or just get dealt with. I don't know, the token generation is nice and could be like a momentum, but dude, if you play that on turn 4, then you're just hoping that you're going to do something cool on turn 5. Okay, here's Healer of the Pride. Oh man, Fraps is freaking out. Healer of the Pride. It's 4 mana. 4 mana for a 2/3. Let's see how bad this recording is. Oh, it's fine. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 2 life. Dude, that's so weird. This isn't a creature deck, and I guess maybe if you're playing some weird, mostly cat build, there's only one of those too. If there were a whole bunch, I could see a mechanic, but no way. I passed on these Seasoned Marshals too. 4 mana for a 2/2 Human Soldier. Whenever this thing attacks, you may tap target creature. So this seems like it's straight out of the old, I mean, it feels kind of like the old Black-White Exalted deck, to where you had that enchantment. And I don't know why it isn't an enchantment. Maybe this is the thing that they want you to make huge and cast all your enchantments on, and then every time it attacks, you just tap a potential blocker. There's 2 of them. I don't know what the god play would be with that. I don't even have very many 5 casting cost cards. You have the option of playing with the Divine Transformation. 4 mana, target creature gets +3/+3. It just seemed a little bland to me compared to, for the same casting cost and mana breakdown, Angelic Destiny. That's dumb comparison. And then Armored Ascension is way better. I don't know, it was just a quick removal for me. You might want to play with it if you're just going for like this, I don't know, you just want to have every 4 mana pump up that you can. Totengard Heart Beast, 5 mana for a 2/5, and when it enters the battlefield, you can search your library for an aura and put it in your hand. It's just kind of weird that it's only in your hand and not in the play. And 5 mana for a 2/5 ain't that bad. That's an Antelope, if that's your thing. Sigil of the Empty Throne. Every time you cast an enchantment, you put a white 4/4 angel into play. Maybe I need to make room for that, but I just wanted a card that would have an immediate effect on turn 5. The meta, dude, is just so quick. That's why I'm pulling out a lot of these cards, but I don't know what I'm doing at the same time. Evangelize. 5 mana, gain control of a creature your opponent controls, but he or she chooses. So pretty much your opponent's going to pick their worst creature and then give it to you. That's kind of cool. How weird in a white deck too. And it has buyback of 2 or of 4. Interesting. Okay, Admonition Angel. I think we're getting to some 6s. Yeah. Oh my god, everything else is 6 or higher, and then we're done. Admonition Angel's weird. 6 mana for a 6/6 flying, and whenever a land comes into play, you can exile target non-land permanent other than this angel. Just reading that, I need to put this card in this deck. I think I use the same logic though why I'm not playing with it, because you cast it on turn 6, and then you don't even get to do anything. Like, it's just a 6/6 flyer. I don't know, maybe I'm thinking about that wrong, but I wanted something powerful on turn 6, and that just seems like mass game lockdown. And it seems fragile, dude. And then they kill it, and then you just got like a wave of stuff. Maybe it's more of just a momentum changer kind of thing. Purity is 6 mana for a 6/6 flyer. If non-combat damage would be dealt to you, prevent that damage. So any burn or corrupts, prevent that damage, and you gain life instead. And then when Purity dies, it goes back into the library. That's pretty cool too. I might need to make some room for some of these 6s. Aura Touch Mage, 6 mana for a 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, search your library for an aura, and then if this mage is still on the battlefield, you can put that aura onto it. Otherwise, put it in your hand. So if they do something weird and instantly kill it somehow, then it goes into your hand. But otherwise, it comes into play with it on. That's kind of strong too, man. God, 6 mana? I don't even know what I would grab. If you're casting this on turn 6, and you grab an Armored Ascension, it's going to get +6/+6. So it goes from a 3/3 to a 9/9 flyer. Is that good on turn 6? Or you could grab Pariah, and then it's pretty much like a 1-turn delay. Celestial Mantle, you remember this from the straight white deck. 6 mana, enchanted creature gets +3/+3, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, double your life total. It reeks of like a win more card, but I don't know, some people might like to play with it. 6 for only giving it +3/+3, and then that the double life thing seems a little steep. True Conviction's kind of neat. 6 mana, creatures you control have double strike and lifelink. So if you're playing every creature in this deck, God, that's strong. That's really strong. If you're playing like a creature version of this deck for some reason, and cast this on turn 6, you swing in for like an Alpha Strike. And all your dudes have double strike and lifelink, so you're going to gain so much life. God forbid you actually have one of these things on something, and then everything you control just got double strike and lifelink. I need to change this deck. Final Judgment, 6 mana, exile all creatures. I'm not even playing with this. I felt like whenever I actually did have a creature into play, it was so precious that I didn't want to kill it, but I don't know, man. I probably need to throw it in for just board wipe ability. That's it for this vid. This deck is fun. If you can get a couple of the right cards and not get trounced in the first like 3 or 4 turns, you're gonna have a fun game. It's surprising and exciting, but I don't know. I don't know if it can hang in this meta. That's it for this vid. Check out phonecats.com. I'll show you cool iPad cases, deals on iPads, iPhones, and Androids, and more cool games for your Android or iOS device. Thanks for watching. Phonecats.